everyone, and welcome to this second workshop in the series on grow your visibility and your income. I don't know if you've seen the first one with Emma Wally on batch planning your social media content, which was hugely interesting. You can still watch the replay in the Facebook group. I'll let Carla in. You can still watch the replay in the Facebook group. And tonight's workshop is on branding your business by Gemma Storey from Infinity Creative. Hi, Gemma.
Hiya.
It's lovely to have you with us. And yeah, I met Gemma in the FEA, which is the Female Entrepreneur Association, a membership group for women in business. And what I loved was Gemma put a introduction post on herself, and I was really blown away by how original it was. Her pictures looked great and her text was just amazing. So I was really impressed. And I was thinking one day I would really love to work with that lady. And there we go. Today we are there. So Gemma, I'll let you, I'll give you the handover and you can take it on from here.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And I'm really excited to be delivering a workshop all on branding your business and also be talking about Canva, which are two things that I love. So I'm just going to dive on in. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it. And I just wanted to add one thing, Gemma, before we start, is that we have a Q&A at the end, ladies. So if ever you want to ask questions, you can put them in the chat. And at the end of the session, we will answer them. So I won't say anything anymore.
Yeah, okie dokie. So as Petra said, we have a jam-packed masterclass. So in this masterclass, I'm going to be explaining how to make a strong and memorable brand. I'll also be teaching you how to utilize that in Canva to grow your business and your visibility online. So I'm going to whiz through as quick as I can, so there's enough time for questions. So please do grab your snacks and we'll dive on in. Okay, so just a little bit about me as a background. I am a brand alchemist. My name's Gemma and I love to be known for my rebellious Aquarian. I'm a font nerd, I'm a black cat mama and a houseplant collector. There's a few fun facts about me. I love astrology so much that I've combined it with my branding services. So ultimately I like to look at my clients' star charts and decode their stars so I can basically bring a really strong and aligned brand for them. And I'm an Aquarius sun with an Aries moon and a Virgo rising. I live with my partner Adam, and yes, we do match our outfits up here. My favorite film is Hocus Pocus, and I'm super excited that #2 is coming out in September, just 30 years later, but at least it's coming. And my favorite Disney princess is Ariel, because I just really want a clown bra, to be honest. And my cats are called Millie, Salem, Sabrina and Luna, based off one of my childhood favorite programs, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And I'm a total history nerd, as I just love exploring old castles, and I even love the smell of rain and petrol, but just not together. Oh, and I know a thing or two about branding and Canva. So what exactly do I do? So I'm a big believer that a logo is not just your brand. Your branding is everything, every touch point. It's the way you speak, the way your personality is, it's your vision, your mission, your core values, everything. So to put it simply, I like to create soulful branding love spells for my clients because my job is to create something that is so aligned that they can feel confident online and offline that feels meaningful to their soul clients. But let's talk more about what it takes to create a strong brand that is memorable. So just as a quick overview, what you're seeing in front of you is a brand board. Now, when you work with a brand designer, this is the sort of thing that you would expect to see. So just starting from the top, this is your primary logo. So a primary logo is pretty much what it is. It's the one that you use all the time. So it's your go-to that you might use on your website, your business cards, that sort of thing. What's also really handy to have is a secondary logo, or what we call a sister logo, which is this one on the right here. Now, the reason why you have several different logos is because in this modern digital world, we have so many different places and touch points that our logo needs to do its job. So as you can see, this one is a little bit more horizontal, it's more spread out. That would fit better on a letterhead or the top of a website. It just basically gives you choices of where to put your brand in, rather than seeing something squished into a smaller space, which is why a lot of brand designers create a submark, which is this circular one here. So you might have noticed on your Instagram or Facebook, you will need a circular frame to upload your logo. So you would use your submark for that. I've also seen clients use it for stickers or, icons, or at the footer of their website. And again, for watermark, which is really ideal for a lot of you that are with photography, because obviously you want to protect your copyright. So you can literally overlay your submark to protect your photos. Moving on to the one on the right, which is a brand mark. A brand mark is very much a simplified version, normally an icon or a graphic that you can use as a favicon, which is the top thing that you see on a website. Again, you can use it as a sticker, or you can put it into your social media, or turn it into a pattern, which you can see at the bottom here. And of course, colors play a big role in branding. And I normally say that you want around about 6 to 8 tops in terms of colors, and they've got to invoke emotion. It's got to really appeal to you and your ideal audience. And with colors, normally you'd be broken down into 4 sections. So you'd have your Pantones, your CMYKs, your RGBs, and your hex codes. So I'm not gonna go through that right now, because we go through that a bit later, but just to let you know that it's mainly the hex codes that you will need when you work inside Canva. And of course, fonts, they do the same job as colors. They invoke a feeling or an emotion. And the rule of thumb is to have no more than 3 fonts, and they are broken down into your accent font, your header font, and your body copy. Accent fonts are used quite sparingly because the font tends to be quite decorative, but they're used for big hero headers, whereas the header font is usually for your subtitles or trying to bolden up text to bring attention to it. And of course, your body copy is paragraphs, so it's got to be legible and really easy to read. And then down here, it's an optional thing. You don't have to have this as a brand, but it definitely strengthens a brand if you have regular brand backgrounds and patterns. And the key is to use it with consistency, because once you start using your colors and your fonts and your logos on a regular basis, it builds up that awareness and brand loyalty. But a brand should go a lot deeper than that. So when I talk to my clients, I talk a lot about your heart and soul of branding. So the heart is very much what you see. It's the logos, the fonts, the patterns, basically everything that I showed you on the previous slide. However, if you want to have a really strong brand that engages with your soul clients, you need to work on your brand soul. Now, what a brand soul is, that is your beliefs, your values, your personality, your vision, your mission, your story, the energy you bring, your niche, all the stuff that you don't necessarily see, but it's how you portray your brand, whether it's on your website or your social media, or whether you're talking about it in a networking group, it's equally as important. So I'm just going to show you a couple of screenshots from a previous branding brand guidelines. So brand guidelines is basically the Bible once you have a brand done by a brand designer. And it kind of keeps you on track. So it kind of goes through all your stories, your missions, your visions. So as an example here, this was my client, Deborah. And so we talked about her personal story. So she had memories around Christmas, around her father, and with her business, she called it Winter Wick because she's Scottish and she loved those memories. And in fact, it's actually, I'm probably going to butcher this word, Costiga, which is the Scottish meaning of hygge, which is that Scandinavian word that invokes feelings of coziness and warmth. And that's exactly what she wanted to bring in her business. So it's all about bringing that feeling that you want your soul clients to feel. You've also got brand personality. So where do you sit on the scale? Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? Are you more modern? Or are you more traditional? All these things you need to consider when building a brand. And of course, the vision. Where do you see your business in 5, 10, 15 years? It's good to dream big. And that's what we've done here. We've put like a little mood board together because you want to know what you're aiming for. And it's always good to see visuals of where you see your business. And that's ultimately what a brand does. You've also got to consider your brand values. You know, what do you believe in? What do you want your clients to believe in? Because ultimately what you believe in will attract your dream clients. So in the case of Deborah's brand, she wanted to invoke feelings of nostalgia because she loved Christmas as a child. And she wants to bring that feeling of homeliness and coziness because she talks about now that her children have left their home, it feels like an empty nest. But when they come home from their uni or travels, it's like coming back in time. And that's what she wants her clients to feel. And again, it goes into your mission. What is your brand promise to your clients? All these things and it can be personal. I mean, crikey, my client here's talked about she believes in cake, but it can also be a serious thing, you know, and that's what's got to come across in your branding and your website. And one of the biggest things that I've seen transform clients the most is talking about their story, which from talking to clients, they say it's too personal, they don't want to share it. But really what you're doing is people are going to relate to you, they're going to engage with you, because there are so many people doing the same thing as us. I mean, just take it in my industry, there must be thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of branding and graphic designers. But when I share my personal stories or things that people might relate to, they're more likely to work with me because they can relate to me on a human level. And that's really what a good brand does. It relates to your clients on a human level rather than just a pretty logo. It's got to have meaning and purpose. So what's next? So now that you've got a little bit of a clear grasp on your branding, what it should look like, I'm going to suggest to you one of the best tools to invest in to grow your business, which of course is Canva. Now, just a little bit of a background story of Canva. When it first came on the scene, especially around my fellow graphic designer friends, it was not welcomed at all. In fact, it was completely hated. There was a lot of snobbery around it, thinking it's going to take their jobs and things like that. But there was just something about it that I just wanted to see it for myself. And so I signed up to the free trial and had a play about. And I saw it from a completely different point of view. I saw it as a very clever and intuitive software that would help my clients grow. So what I started to do in my branding services was I would combine my Canva training and then teach them how to use Canva so that the client doesn't need to rely on me all the time. They had the tools and the know-how to grow it. So I'm a brand designer and I love Canva and I love recommending it, but why? So with Canva, it keeps your branding consistent. So for me as a brand designer, and I pass on those files to my client, the last thing I want to see is it not keeping consistent or it looks different and it just doesn't quite come across the way we left it. So with Canva, you have a thing called a brand kit where you can upload your logos and colors and fonts. So it makes it so much more quicker when you're creating. It also gives you the freedom, because if you were to go back to your graphic designer and say, I need these changes, you could be waiting 2-3 weeks possibly. And also you'd have to pay money. Whereas if you invest in Canva, you can edit it anytime you want. And like I said, it is very time saving. And I'm going to be going through a few tips and tricks on time saving tools a bit later on. But for now, I just wanted to recap what actually is Canva. So it's a free graphic design software, but like anything, if you do pay for the upgrade, you get access to a lot more things. So you have unlimited folders for your designs, there's storage, there's stock photography, you've got the magic resize tool, you can set your color palettes, resize designs, videos, animations, everything. So we're going to go through that now. But just before, I just wanted to touch upon the price point. So when you pay for it annually, it is cheaper and you will save, I believe, just over 30 quid, but they do have the monthly option of £10.99. So that is the Canva Pro section here. So in this part of the masterclass, I'm going to teach you my top 3 things that you can do in Canva today. We're going to upload and organize your branding files, and I'm going to teach you my favorite Canva tricks and tools, and we're also going to touch upon how to create well-branded templates for your social media. So step 1, upload and organize your branding files. So you probably heard the saying, tidy house, tidy mind. Well, the same goes for your Canva account. When everything's nice and organized and tidy, it makes the design process so much quicker and easier. So the way to do that, and I always stress this as the most important part for setting your business up for success, is to do the brand kit first. So when you log into Canva, it will look a lot like this. And on the left-hand side, there will be a button that says brand kit. So once you click the brand kit, it will show you something like this, and it will prompt you to add your logos. So you just press the plus sign here, and you can upload all your logos and they'll filter in at the top. The same goes for the colors. You can add several different color palettes depending on how many businesses you have, and you can name them as well. And of course your fonts, and Canva as well believes in sticking to 3 fonts as well. So you've got your headings, your subheadings, and your body copy. You can use their own fonts, but you've also got the option to upload your own. So before you upload your logos, it's really important to be aware of the file types. So there are 3 different file types currently that Canva accept, and that is SVG, PNG, and JPEG. Now there's the main 2 that I think are more important than one, because I'm not a fan of JPEG, because it means that you've got this white background behind it. Whereas PNG, it's got no background. So when you overlay your logo onto design, you're not going to get that ugly white background. SVG, however, I think is the best because it is vector based, which means that you can make it bigger and it won't go blurry. And if it's done properly, you can actually change the colors of your logo within the Canva software. So just to recap, so I've just pulled my logo out. SVG means I can change the colors and I've got a transparent background. PNG means I can't change the colors, but I've got a transparent background. JPEG means I can't change the colors and I've got a white background. So that's just to bear in mind when you're uploading your logos. So when you come on to the next bit of your colors, you will need to use hex codes. Now, hex codes are a hexadecimal way of representing RGB colors, which is colors for screen. And you will see here that it's got a hashtag, and then it will be 6 numbers or letters, and you'll need to input that into the brand kit to save your colors. And once you've done it, it's there. You don't need to worry about it. Although there has been a recent Canva update where you can import your CMYK colors, which are these ones here, the percentages. Now CMYK is for print, but for now we're just going to stick with the hex codes because that is probably what you'll need the most for online graphics. Okay, so if you're wondering, oh, I got a color, but I have no idea what the hex code is, don't panic, because there's a brilliant website called imagecolorpicker.com. Once you land on that website, you'll be prompted to upload an image. And so if you've got an image that has the color that you're intending to find, then upload that. Once you've done it, they'll generate a palette underneath. And then by clicking on the color, you can see up here, it's got the hex code there. So all you need to do is press copy and then paste that into your brand kit. So again, if you don't have a specific brand color palette, then of course Canva has a multitude of color palettes to choose from, or at least feel inspired by. And you can do that by clicking just below where it says add and discover palettes. And you can type in keywords. If you know your brand uses oranges or pinks, type those in and it will suggest color palettes around those. Alternatively, I love Pinterest. So you can always pop into Pinterest and type in different color palettes. If you want to search for me, I've got a whole library dedicated to them with the hex codes there for you, just in case you're just beginning of your branding journey. And then of course the fonts. So again, you just want to pop in your accent font, your header font, and your body copy font. And again, don't worry if you haven't established your fonts yet, because again, Canva has an entire library of fonts to choose from. It's just there if you have your own brand font. Now, I had to ask my partner, because in my household, we have the Mac versus the Windows users. So forgive me if I get the Windows bit a little bit wrong, but If you want to upload your own fonts, so I'm going to start with the Mac use, so I know what I'm talking about there. You go to your font book and then you search for your fonts, you press file and then export the fonts, and then you'll be able to upload that to Canva. With the Windows users, you'll need to go to your File Explorer, which is the C drive or the main hard drive, and then you need to click on your Windows folder and then click on the fonts folder to select the fonts, right click and copy and separate to a folder anywhere on your PC desktop, and then you'll be able to upload. So just a visual there to like walk you through it. So again, that's your font book, choose your font, export them, and then press upload to do that for the Mac users. And again, just a visual for you Windows users. So your C drive, Windows folder, choose your fonts, and then you can upload. Okay, so the next part of the housekeeping is folders. I can't stress how important this is. I know it's the boring part, but it is so important. So with folders, it's now called projects because Canva loves to update all the time. So on your left-hand side will be projects, and then you'll see folders here. So once you've clicked into that area, you can then see, as an example here, my folders. So I like to break it down into all sorts, my photography, my icons, my presentations. I mean, even this presentation was done in Canva. So it's just so easy to find. So you can categorize things, and when you see stuff, you can save it. Even the elements inside Canva, you can save to these folders. So it just basically makes your life a lot easier. And when you create stuff, you'll know where to find it because you can search for things really easily. So just as a breakdown, so at the top here, you'll see a little plus sign. So you press that, it'll pop up with this little menu here, and then you press a folder, give it a name, press create, and it will generate into here, and you can sort them by new to old or alphabetically. So again, it's a great place to put all your branding files because you'll have patterns, backgrounds, icons, all that sort of stuff. So now that the housekeeper is done, it's now time to move on to the fun bit. But first, I need to teach you a couple of design principles. So as an example, this is just a previous example from another branding client, and I want to talk to you about contrast. So when you're using your lovely logos, you want it to be seen. You don't want to confuse people or irritate people from looking at it. So I broke it down into 3 examples of how you can improve the visibility of your logo. So as context, this client was a menopausal coach, hence the name Sweaty Sisters, which I absolutely love. But she has retreats. So what she does is she takes her lovely clients on retreats. And so we used this photo, and I saw her put the logo on top like this. And I was like, Bron, you can barely see it. And so we went through it, and I told her, you can either apply a gradient, or you can do a block color, or you'll just have to take away the background and change it to a block color. So in Canva, they actually have gradients already set up. You just go into the elements, type in gradient, and you can change the color according to your brand. And then we just change the logo to white, and now you can see the logo so much better. And the same here, you can either add a block color behind it, or here you can see the logo, but it's still not very clear. So we took a deeper shade of pink from her color palette to make it stand out against the baby pink. So they're just a few little tips just to be mindful of when you're sharing your logo is, can your audience see it? The other thing that I like to talk about when using your logo is clear space. Don't be afraid of it. I see all the time you want to cluster it in and cram everything in, but what that does is it doesn't make it feel luxurious or calm. You've got to think about what your brand is. If you're a luxurious wedding photographer and you've got a beautiful logo, the last thing you want to do is clutter it. So when you have a bit of breathing room, and ideally around 50 pixels around it as a bare minimum, what it does is it instills calmness and clarity. So just be, again, mindful of where your logo sits on a page. The other thing that is really important with a brand is to consider hierarchy. So when you're using your fonts and your typography, whether it's on a website or your social media, that sort of thing, I just want to direct your attention to this little graphic on the left here. I would bet money to say that you read this first, then this line, then this one, and then this last. The reason being, one, it is obviously larger, so that grabs us attention. But why did we not go to the very top line? Because as humans, we tend to read from top to bottom. The reason being it's on a different color, because it's anchored by this white color, your eye straight away goes to this bit, and then we read below that, and then we go, oh, there's something at the top. It's the same principle when it comes to your website or anything you create in Canva. Just be, what do you got to ask yourself, what do you want your clients or customers to read first? And that is a great way to use these tools, whether you change the color, the font weight, or you add a background behind it. So it's just something to bear in mind again for when you're using typography. Okay, so step 2, I want to teach you my favorite design tips and tricks in Canva. So before you do, you need to create a new design. So to do that, when you're on the dashboard, you'll see at the top right-hand corner, either create a design or custom size. If you press create a design, it means you can find pre-made stuff, i.e. Instagram stories or Pinterest graphics. But for now, I wanted to show you custom. So I normally use 1200 by 1200 pixels because I like the square format for Instagram. But again, you can use whatever size you want, and also pixels are for web. So once you've clicked that, it will then bring up a canvas like this. But one of the first things that I like to tell my clients is use the template tab. The templates are there to cut down on time. If you're feeling not inspired and you want to maybe find something similar, but you want to tweak it, then the templates tabs are brilliant. So in terms of my branding, I would say my brand is very magical, witchy, whimsical. So Canva works in a way of keywords. So when you're on the templates tab, you can literally type in any keyword, i.e. magic, and it comes up with loads of suggestions. By clicking anything once, it automatically appears on the board. And here you can edit the fonts. I can change the background. I can change the color of these buttons. And of course, our texts are already saved. So because we've set up our brand kit, it means it's going to be so much faster. You can just literally drop your logo in, update your fonts and your color palette, and you're good to go. So as I say, always think about the templates if you just want a bit of inspiration to start off with. But one of my favorite tools is the Elements tab. It is full of photos, graphics, videos, audios, tables, frames, you name it. And as a brand designer, I can't stress how amazing it is to have this at your fingertips for the price of Canva. To put it in perspective, brand designers usually have to invest in things like stock photography websites, and a photo on itself could be £7 to £10. The fact that you have this stock photography and video and all these moving elements and graphics is quite incredible. So that alone, I would say, is worth the investment for Canva. And also you can save these elements to those folders that we created earlier. So if you find something that you love, because let's face it, once you see it, it's going to be very hard to find it again because it's just filled with different elements, you can save that to your folder. And again, they work the same with keywords. You type in any keyword and it will come up. But also, again, under the Elements tab, you've got the options for, lines and shapes, which again, you'll need them for when you're trying to bring out the hierarchy of text. So you'll need to click on the shapes and you can change the roundness, the line weight, the colors. You've got all sorts here. And they're like the basic key foundational elements you'll need. So that's based under the Elements. I also love the frames. So when you're inside Canva, if you ever see a blue sky, white clouds, green hills, that tells you that is a frame that you can use to mask an image. You can drop an image in and it will just kind of have the border around it. So for an example here, I found a diamond shaped frame that I liked. This was the original photo and I dragged and dropped it into this frame and it clipped it to show the diamond shape. Once you go through the frames, there are so many different ones. You've got Polaroid versions, you've got heart shapes, you've got numbers, you've got arches. There's so many different things to choose from, and it just makes it more visually interesting when you're creating your Instagram posts. One of my other favorite tools, which again, as a designer, is incredible because the background remover tool. Normally we use things like Photoshop where we have to draw in the pen tool all the way around the outline and then mask it, which is so fiddly and can take 20 minutes plus. Whereas this, you literally have a button, you press it once and it removes the background without any like fiddly bits. It's just brilliant. and it's got better over time. I remember when I first used it, sometimes it wouldn't quite get my hair, or my earring would be merged into the background. But luckily with Canva, they have a thing called erase and restore. So you can paint things back in just in case part of your hair was missing. I remember once I had a client who basically dresses up as Disney princesses for a living. And one of her key characters is Elsa from Frozen. And I was teaching her about this background tool, and she took a photo of herself behind some wallpaper that had white twigs. And of course the wig was like icy blonde. So she had like twigs coming out of her hair. But as I say, luckily this tool has improved itself. But if you do ever come across something like that, you can erase and restore. So don't panic. So this is an example here. I just literally had this photo, and it's a beach ball. So that's the best way to remember it. And it usually comes up straight away when you click on edit image at the top. So whenever you're clicked on an image, you'll have this come up, and it'll have like a whole list of things that you can do, like change colors, like the effects, pixelate, all that sort of stuff. But to remember, it's a beach ball. Oh, and top tip with that as well, just to go back, once you've created, once you've taken away the background, what a top tip I would say is to download that as a PNG, so no background, and then re-upload it to your folders. So you haven't got to keep doing this all the time. So once you've done it once, download it, like save it, and then re-upload it to your folders. So when you create a lovely graphic and I think, oh, I want that photo without the background, it's just done. So just a quick tip there. This was the client I was talking about. This was my my lovely children's entertainer client. But this is the part where we like to apply like shadows and like glows, that sort of thing. So once you've basically got rid of the background, you can then apply things like glows, drop shadows, curves, page lists, that sort of thing. And so as you can see here, there is a slight darkness behind it, just so you can see it makes it a bit more 3D. So again, that's under the edit tab as well. Okay, so step 3 is all about creating well-branded templates for social media. So when I was talking to you earlier about your fonts and your colors and your logos, one of the key things that I need to stress to you the most is consistency. So when you're consistent with your brand, what it does is it really does allow people to recognize you. So I've actually had people before say, something popped up, and before I read it properly, I knew it was your brand, because you use the same turquoise, use the same fonts, the same sort of visuals, that sort of thing. And that is the goal. So with branding, that is the #1 goal, is to be consistent. There's so many times in the past where I've seen people use a random font and then they go back and change a different color, then they go back. It's not creating that strong foundation. So when you are creating your grids and your posts, it's really good to bear that in mind. And inside Canva, you can create these little graphics, and they're saved there. So I always talk about like evergreen content, because we all know Instagram is against us and the algorithm always changes all the time. So it's okay to repost it 3 or 4 months later. It doesn't matter if you feel like you're, bombarding again with your post, because most of the time, not everyone's going to see it. And the beauty of Canva is you can pop back into that graphic and tweak it slightly, or, just change up a little bit. And you can even schedule straight from Canva. There's literally a content planner where you can use your graphics and set the time and the day and so on. So just wanted to touch upon that. So I also today want to show you a little tutorial. This is actually one of my highly requested tutorials that I get, which is a seamless carousel post. So if you're really into Instagram, you'll know that there is an option where you can update multiple images. And I think the maximum is 10 images or videos in like one grid. So basically with your thumb, you just like swipe through. But what a seamless carousel is it doesn't look like there's a break. So it's almost like it's one long graphic. And that's what people love, because it's creative, it's engaging, it's interesting. And there's a statistic that when you do more of these posts, that people actually save it. So on Instagram, there is a, what is the word, bookmark, whether you can save it later and people read it. And when people do that, what that tells Instagram is, this is really interesting content. We're going to push it up the algorithm. And that's what the carousel post is so brilliant. And another thing that people don't know about with carousel posts is because there are up to 10 different slides, it will re-show that in one day to the same person. So it's kind of combating that problem of like, are people seeing my Instagram post? So that's why I'm always in favor of, you know, sprinkling it with a few carousel posts, because you might say to me next, well, what can I put? Well, if you're really into blogging, or if there's a lot of questions that your customers and clients ask you a lot, turn that into a carousel post because it's educational. One of the two things that are the most engaged on Instagram is entertaining, which is i.e. reels, or educational posts, which is normally in carousels because people are more inclined to save it and read it later. So anyway, let's dive on in. So the first thing you want to do when you're creating a carousel post is to ask yourself, how many have I got? So in my case, I had 7. So the width would be 7 times 1,000, so 7,000. Now I'm not great at maths, but I can just about do that. Whereas the height is 1,000. So you always want the height to be 1,000 and the width is dependent on how many graphics. And bear in mind, at the moment, you can't have more than 10. So as I say, mine was 7. So I did a width of 7,000 and a height of 1,000 in pixels. So remember, pixels are for web. Once you've done that, you can press create design and it will look a little something like this. The other thing that you need to bear in mind is to bring up your rulers, which can be found under file. So you just press file and it'd be like show margins and rulers, something like that. And what you need to do next is drag your guides to every thousandth number. It is quite fiddly. It was very hard to get it on the dot, but if you can get it as close as possible, it's absolutely fine. So you can see here in this video, I'm just dragging my little purple guides across as close as I can get till I've got 7 equal squares, basically. And in true Blue Peter style, here's what I did earlier, which is in the bottom bit here. You'll see the key to a really good seamless carousel post is keeping the text in the middle, in between the purple lines, but the graphics you need to overlay on the purple lines. That is the key. So as you can see at the bottom, I've kept the main text because you want that to be really easy to read, but things like the arrows or these little white dots or my little kind of pink icing and sprinkles, be creative and overlay that. That's what creates the feeling of it being seamless. So that is the key there. So once you've kind of got it all the way you like it and you're happy with it, you then want to now download that either as a PNG or a JPEG. Just bear in mind, JPEG is more optimized for web, but you don't want to click transparent background with your PNG. PNG is just basically a higher res version for a web image. So once you've downloaded it, it will look a little bit like that, this long graphic, and you'll need to go to another website. Unfortunately, you can't do this part in Canva. There is a brilliant tool called pinetools.com, and it's basically a resource for all sorts of things. You can convert PDFs and find color brightnesses and all these different things. But what I love is their split image. So once you find split image, you then want to upload your graphic, which you can see I'm doing here. And you want to make sure the options are ticked horizontally. And then you want to put in the number. So again, mine was 7. So I pumped up to 7. I chose PNG because I like the higher res image. And then you press split image. And you can either download them individually, but it's quicker to download them as a zip file, which means they're all under one folder. And then that will save straight to my downloads folder. So you can either email that to yourself, to your phone, or some clients I know like to use Canva, so not Canva, Instagram from their own desktop app. But for me, I just basically exported them. So once they cut it up, I got these 7 graphics here. I just sent it to my phone. If you're an Apple Mac user, you can airdrop it. How good is that? But if not, you can just email it to yourself and then you'll be able to pop it to your folders and your photos. And then you can see here, I'm on my Instagram. I've clicked all the ones in order. Make sure you tick it in order. And then you can add your caption, your hashtags, and then press post. And then in a second, you'll see my carousel and you'll see that I'll slowly move, and you can just see how the graphics are seamless. And that's really it. It's as simple as that. So once you've done that, you can apply it to all sorts. You can even turn it into a portfolio post, because as photographers, that is what is your selling point. So you could do a lovely carousel post of your portfolio, and just, if your branding has like specific graphics that maybe you use like flowers or, you know, little kind of polka dots, sprinkle that in the middle to make it seamless. And yeah, it's good to go. I've noticed since I've done that, my because you can actually look at your insights where people have saved it, and they're the only post that people save like up to 30 times. Whereas if I had a random post of like a logo, nothing, but for some reason the carousel posts tend to be so engaging and people like to save them. Okay, so before I go, I just want to leave you with another bonus tip that you can do inside Canva. So one of the things that I love, and again, this is if you're a Canva Pro member, is the magic resize tool. So because we created that lovely carousel post, what if I decided I wanted to turn the front cover into a Pinterest graphic? Because Pinterest is what drives traffic to your website. So you're probably thinking, oh, I need to do it all from scratch and pop in all the measurements and find it online. No, you literally go back to your original artwork and you go up to the very top where it says Canva Pro, and you click resize, and then you can choose what size you want that to be. Luckily with Canva, they already have an option for a Pinterest pin, which is 1000 by 1500 pixels, and you literally tick it, and you have the option to either copy and resize, which means it will duplicate it and do it to another one, which means it saves your original from not being like messed about. But you can just go ahead and press resize and do it within the actual artwork. Bearing in mind, you might have to tweak a little bit. So this is what it came out as, and I had to sort of push the little crosses in and maybe move the arrow, but that's shaved off a lot of time for me having to redo things from scratch. So that really is the key here. It's really is time saving and allows you to keep your brand consistent online, so people can remember you and become a loyal follower. So before I go as well, I just wanted to let you know that I have a Canva group. I call it the Canva Coven, and it's a free Facebook group. So you're more than welcome to pop along. And every so often I drop in a few YouTube tutorials. You're more than welcome to update me with your graphics and you want a little bit of support or, you know, critique on your designs. But yeah, that's there if you need that. But I just want to say thank you so much for listening. And do you have any questions?
Wow, that was amazing, Gemma. Really, really cool to see all of this. Thank you very, very much. I haven't seen any questions in the chat box.
Yeah,
so
no,
I think if anyone has a question, it's time to either unmute yourself or pop it in the chat box now, but you can unmute yourself without a problem. Anyone? I have some, Rachel. Hang on a sec.
I was going to say, if there's not, there's always going to be a replay. I think you mentioned it's going to be in the group for a day. You
Yeah.
can pop some questions under there as well. I'll happily pop back and answer there, because sometimes it can take a while to sink in, can't it? I think, oh, now I've got a question. So I know I've done that before.
Yeah, we will definitely, it will be in the group. And I think that you've told such great things that you can't remember just like that. So I'll definitely have to watch this back as well. How much storage for video, asks Rachel. Rachel, maybe you can pop up.
I've got it up here. I think it tells you exactly the amount. Let me go back to the beginning. Bring that graphic up.
Already, I love your brand style with the color and the little stars and the, it's beautiful.
So here it's got 100 gigabytes of cloud storage, but I'm pretty sure that when you reach that point, there is the option to upgrade. So you can add like a bolt on, but I think that would be plenty to get you going. And you've got the option to be reminded, so you can always, you know, delete a few folders and re-upload what you really need. But for the Canva Pro, it's 100 gigabytes of cloud storage.
Yeah, she says, I would love to integrate my videos into my presentations with my photos for
Yeah.
teaching English. Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
possible.
you can totally do that. The same applies for when you upload your images. You can upload your videos. So you just literally drag and drop into the dashboard and it will appear in the uploads folder. And then you've got the option to save that to a folder. And then when you create your graphics, you can just literally, because that's what I did down here. I screen recorded bits and bobs because I thought it'd be a lot easier and streamlined to show you like how to create that carousel post. So for example, here, this was just a video that I screen recorded using Vimeo, but I know there's a free app called Loom where you can screen record and then you can just download it as an MP4, I believe. And then again, you just drag and drop that file into Canva, it saves it. And I set a setting that this plays as soon as I go onto my screen. So you can see how to do it while I'm talking. Whereas before, when I used to do presentations on Canva, I used to come out of the presentation and do it. And we all know things don't go right on the night, do they? The computer starts slowing down and it's throwing a wobbly and it freezes. So this is a great way to do it. If you do a lot of presentations yourself, I would highly recommend screen recording and then uploading that to Canva and then setting it up a little bit like this.
Yeah, I do it myself as well in my challenge videos. I often use video in Canva presentations. Rachel is also asking, can you put the videos in the cloud sky thing?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. I mean, once you get into your folders, that is considered your storage space. So I'm sure Canva will let you know when you get close to 100 gigabytes, but yes, you can. So again,
I think she means the frame. If you can drag it in a frame.
Oh, in a frame, yes, you can. You definitely can. Yeah. So again, let me see if I can just pop out. Let me just create a quick blank slide. So if you go to elements, scroll down to frames, press see all. I'm just going to click this Polaroid one just as an example. And then go back to your elements. Let's put snow because it's moving. Videos. And then
incredible what is all in there. It's just amazing.
Yeah. So that could be applied to your own video, or as I say, it's already in the stock library. And that's again, because I love doing blogs and stuff like that. Normally I'd have to go trailing through my stock photography accounts, whereas now I could just literally type in a keyword, find something that I'm looking for and just apply it. And I do that, I save all my stuff as well. So like if I go back to my dashboard, when I'm doing like my covers for my blogs and things, I use it all for client stuff as well. But there's a specific one that I use for like documents and stuff like that. But you can find it under your project. So if I'm thinking, crikey, where is it? I can go to my folders, go to my blogs, and then there they are. They're my thumbnails. So I can click on that and they're saved there. So if I need to redo another template, I can just like duplicate that. As you can see, I've done loads of different ones here. This is all using frames. So if I deleted the spider, you can see it's that blue sky, green hills. So I can drag a completely different photo in. So if I went to my brand photography and I wanted this photo, I just literally pop it in there and it's done. It's just so quick and seamless. And one thing I will say as well that I hear all the time is like, oh, I'm never going to be able to learn that. Honestly, you will. Like I've had clients who are real technophobes and now they're excellent. And the best advice I can give you is just play with it. And because it starts off as free, there's nothing to really lose. So I'd say, 20 minutes a day, have a play about and you'll have fun. You can't break it. You can't, all you have to do is go Command or Control Z to go backwards. And again, going back to those fonts, all my fonts are listed in my text folder here. So these are my 3 fonts, Gloucester, Bebus and Futura. So say I wanted that to be Bebus. If I click on that and then click here, you can see it's changed it straight away. And you can even do it to change all. Say I wanted all my fonts that were Gloucester and I wanted it to be the font Bebus, I can press change all and do the whole lot. So again, it's all just time saving. You can always do it the long way, but I think as a small business owner, Canva is such a great investment because there's so much you can do. There's like another thing that I absolutely love, if I've still got time, is the GIFs. So if you go into Canva, they have a lot of like external stuff. So like they've got like a library of emojis. They've got things that you can draw in a pen. So like here, I could literally, like say you're doing you want to do more like an illustration, I could just literally just draw a heart if I wanted to, press done, and that is now a moving element. The other one that I absolutely love is the Giphy. So Giphy is like moving images. So you might see on Instagram where it could be, for example, actually it'd just be easy if I show you. If I go back to my folders. So when I do my social media, so this is quite an insight, is I save it all in Canva. So if I go to Instagram, you will see that I've got my content scheduled out. So I started it in September 2021 and I'm as far as July 2022. So because it's all done and scheduled, I can click into it and they're all in the square format that I like. Let me just zoom out a little bit. And you've even got the option to save captions. So if there's a caption that you use all the time, you can just type it in there and press comment. So when you come back to it, you can copy and paste that and put it into your social media scheduler. But going back to that Giphy thing, there's something that I love to do. I like to do like little memes like this. So like people who use Apple, they'll know. For some reason, if you have an Apple mouse, the charging point is underneath the mouse. So it means we can't use it. So I made a little funny GIF, and the way I found that was in the folders. So I went all the way down here, press more, it's called Giphy, and you can type in anything. So I don't know, if I just typed in something like laugh as a keyword, it comes up with all these libraries. So you could create your own GIF using these moving things. So yeah, there's a whole limitless opportunities for creating stuff for your social media, but this is just a little insight to how I do it. And then all you have to do is download them as PNGs or JPEGs and upload it to wherever you schedule them.
Gosh, I thought I knew a lot already of Canva, but you've shown me things that I never ever knew. So I'm definitely going to have a look at that. If you still have time, Gemma, I saw that Annelies has a question. This has been very helpful. What are your thoughts about having frames around your post?
What you mean, like decorative frames, do you mean?
I think that's what she means, yeah. Otherwise, you can come along. You can hop on, Anneli.
Yes, or for instance, I'm going to do my own business, and I'm also helping out with another business. And hi, by the way, sorry.
That's okay.
And they have a very in their three colors. They are very bright or dark blue, so it looks almost black.
Yeah.
And to make it recognizable, we have used like a turquoise frame, but that doesn't work on every picture, right? So what do you suggest? Should we have it sometimes, or should we not have it at all, or maybe like an underlining under the post, or?
I think it's good to have it, but if it's a key thing that is part of your branding, then definitely bring it back. So give an example, if you're talking about a frame, at the start of the month, I always have a post like this where it's like, hello July, hello August, and I always use this dotted frame, but I'm not using that dotted frame on every single graphic. It's usually every sort of 8th or 9th graphic, but it's part of my branding because I like the dotted frame. So on that side, I would say, ask your client or yourself, is it something that's going to be a key element or graphic that's going to be part of their branding? But at the same time, if the color's right, you want to see if it complements their colors as well. So if they have if they use a lot of blues that complement it, then again, it's all about consistency. So if you want that to be known as their colors, then yes, definitely keep using it. The other thing I will say as well that I see quite regular and quite popular for my clients when they're using Instagram or Canva for their Instagram is this checkerboard kind of style, which basically means every other post could be your brand colors, but then the other post could be something different, like a photo of anything really. But it's because it's a visual, because Instagram is a visual app. When people are sort of scrolling through it, because you're doing it every other post, you're keeping it consistent. People are like, oh, this is their brand colors. They're established. So that's something else to consider. Maybe do the checkerboard sort of thing as well.
Okay. What do you think about putting your logo on every post?
You don't have to.
No.
That's another thing as well. Like if you can do, like I've seen before, people might do like a little kind of, like if I just show you, one of my clients likes to do like a little peep of it. So she uses this little graphic. Which one is it? I think it's this one. So say you had it like at the top here, if we put it in the brand colors.
Yeah.
So again, if you have different variations of logos, i.e. a submark would work really well here, because submarks can be seen on a smaller scale, because something like my big logo, it's just not going to translate and it just will get lost. So what I tend to do, if I really want to bring a bit more of my logo into it, I can use one of my submarks. I might use my little GS one here, and I could just pop it up here. So it's not invading the design as much, because really it's about the graphic, because it's supporting your caption. But if you do want to bring in your logo, that is a good way of doing it. And you can have it in the corner here, or you might even just have like your website link here I've seen before. But I would say you don't need your logo on every single post. As I say, you can just find little bits and pieces that you might want to bring in the corner. But yeah, that's a good way of doing it, is using your circular logo. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I have some more questions, but what we can do is ask them in the group tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I don't know when you will be able to pop in. I would like to ask one question from Carla.
Of course.
She says, thanks, Gemma. Great workshop tonight. I am a physio and really struggle with branding. I'd love to bring a soul to my brand, but not sure how. What things do you think about to bring a heart and soul to your brand? I don't want my brand to look too clinical.
Yeah, that is a really good question, because I think that is the superpower when it comes to your brand, is to share the soul of it. So I would start off by just sharing your story. So like maybe one of them could be, you know, why did you start your business? What was your why? Like that in itself can be such a powerful tool. Like I talked about when I was at an agency, I felt very kind of, my wings were clipped and I was a junior. I was in an office full of men and they didn't really take me seriously. And one day I just decided to hand my notice in, and then they rejected it because they thought I was an over emotional female. And that was quite funny. But anyway, since then, it's actually inspired me to want to help other women. So that's actually became my niche. And that's your soul, is where you find out your soul clients. So now I specialize in helping female business owners get their business off the ground, because I know how hard it is, because I've been through that. So really what you're doing is you're saying, I get you, I can help you. And that's really what it is. And it could also be down to core values. Like, say, for example, you have an e-commerce business where you have maybe a candle business. To you, it must be so important that you want to source ethical things that are not going to be harming the environment. Share that. Maybe you're linked with a charity, or you might want to highlight the company that you buy your stock from. The values don't have to be business related. The values could be like you believe in equality for, you know, gay rights, women, whatever, you're into animals, or it could just be something really simple, like you love cake. You know, people love to know what, people are nosy, people want to know what you get up to. It could be like, you know, your cats or whatever. You might think it's boring, but it's not. Like for example, there's one photo I put was like the behind the scenes of like my desk, and I had so many comments. They're like, oh my god, I've got the same ring light, or what was that book? Because it's, people just want to like relate, and they just love all that stuff. So in terms of like your heart and soul, It's just being you. It's as simple as that. It's basically sharing you, because the thing is, people buy from you. There's this brilliant quote from Seth Godin where people buy stories, relations, and magic, and that is it. They buy from people. So whenever you question yourself and you think, oh, my competitor's doing a better job, it doesn't matter, because someone will relate to you. Just give you a quick example. When I left uni, I hadn't a clue what to do in business, and so I was on the hunt for a coach. And there's so many out there, but there was this one lady where she was a coach and she specialized in graphic designers, and she just didn't care about what she looked like. She talked all about being a plus size person in business and how she thought held her back. But for me, being a plus size woman, I related. So I was like, this woman, I'm going to get her. I relate to her. So I chose to work with her based on that. But as I say, it's just sharing the special stardust that makes you, you.
Yeah, that is great advice. That's great advice. Yeah, Carla says, oh, thank you so much. I think there are a lot of thank yous and questions in the chat. I leave it up to you, Gemma, if you have time for one or two more, if you want to.
I've definitely got time, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I saw that Rachel put in another one. Rachel says also, I will have a big stock of photos I could use for different things. Could I search them by name in Canva, or maybe tag them with cat, animal, eye, sleepy, etc.?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. They have the search bars. If you want to find something really quickly and you know what you've named it, you can do it that way. Or again, you can just save it to a folder and then search for that folder, and then that will come up. So that's why the folders are brilliant, because like you just say, if you're going to be dealing with a lot of photos, very quickly your Canva account's going to become very swamped. So you want a system where you can find things. So for example, for me, I have a folder called photography, but that might split off into cat photos or selfies or brand photography or random memes that I found on the internet, just so it's a system that works for you. So yeah, you can definitely search by a name. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And Anneli says, if I have the pro version, I can use all the pro photos without any problems, right? I can put my logo on them.
Absolutely. That is one of the reasons why I say always go with pro, because if you don't, you won't have the license to use any of those photos and you'd have to pay extra for that. But yes, once you're a pro member, you'll have access to the whole entire library. As I say, one of the elements here, because before, if you weren't, the only way to find out was there'd be like a little crown icon that would pop up, and you'd be able to tell if that was free or if you had to pay for that one. But yeah, absolutely. If you're a pro member, you'll have access to the whole entire library. Yeah.
And that is, I mean, if I for some reason stop having the pro version, will that be okay? Because I still, I mean, the posts, everything are still there, but I'm not a member. But I was when I used them. I still am, but I mean, just to get the grip that there's been so many discussions about what you can post and not post, and
I know,
and how to use it.
Isn't it? Yeah, from what I believe so far is everything you've used up to as a paying member is fine. You pay for that essentially. So anything beyond that, that would be the issue. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Whatever you've used before is absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Sarah Young is asking, which scheduler do you use?
I use a combination of two, actually. So I use the Canva one for my so you know, I was just mentioning I had that Canva cover in the Facebook group. This particular scheduler allows you to do it. So when you're in the content planner, you can actually schedule to a Facebook group, whereas I don't know many other ones. So just as an example, if I just grabbed that image as an example, you can then choose your channel, and so it pops up here, my Canva cover, and so I can schedule stuff there. Whereas the other one that I tend to use more for my social media is Later. I don't know if you've heard of Later, but it's a pretty good tool. It's a bit more reliable, because I would say I would say with the Canva one, it's still very new, which means there can be the odd time that it doesn't post. It's very rare, and I will back up Canva and say they are working on it and it is improving. But I'd say if you want something that's more reliable, I would highly recommend Later, because what I like about Later is, let me just get on the right one. You can preview stuff, so you can see how my grid is going to look. And that as a designer, I value that, because I like things to be checkerboard and have that kind of turquoise client post, turquoise client post. So that's how I like to do it. There's no right or wrong. You can totally post however you like. But for me, I like to know how it's going to look. So I might go, oh, it doesn't quite look right. And I can sort of drag and drop stuff. But yeah, Later and Canva, I use both.
Okay, amazing. And I didn't even know about the scheduler in
Oh,
Canva.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, you can just choose it. What I like about it, it tells you about holidays. So for example, in the UK, we recently had the Queen's Jubilee, so you might have done like a post around that. But it's so simple. You just literally press the plus, and you can find, as I say, your recent imagery, and you can like go into your projects to find something if you can't see it in the folder here. And as I say, you just choose your channel, whether it be your Facebook page or Instagram, Pinterest, and then you can choose the page. Obviously, this is like a continual post it, so I can untick the ones. Write in your caption, and then you're good to go. Once you press schedule, it will then appear on the calendar, but you can move it about. But as I say, I go between this one and my Later account, but they're both really good. And once you're paying for the Canva, you might as well utilize it, especially if you're cross-posting in different things like LinkedIn and stuff like that.
Really, really cool. I noticed one question from Rachel. What about a training course? If you use them in your course and then stop paying for Canva, do you have to take your course down? That might be relating back to Annelie's question on the photos that you use, the pro photos, I think.
Yeah, I would say that is the same applies. You already paid for those images whilst you download them as a paying member. So it's absolutely fine to use in any coursework or courses, workshops that you use. Yeah. Okay,
great. Well, I think we have had all the questions. Yep. If anyone has any other questions, Gemma and I will be in the group tomorrow. Yes. And we'll try to hop in every now and then to answer questions. Yeah. So Gemma, thank you very, very much. I'm just amazed by everything that you shared with us.
You're welcome.
And I absolutely love your brand, so I'm so very pleased that we managed to work together. And I want to thank everybody for being here with us, and the people who watch this in replay. If you have any questions, Marielle, Rachel saying thank you, and Carla, I love your brand too.
Thank you.
Yeah, she loves it too. Well, that's absolutely yeah. So if anybody is watching this in replay, then ask any questions either in the phone photography group or in Gemma's group in the Canva Coven.
Yeah, Canva Coven, yeah.
Okay, great. And yeah, well, thank you very much. And I'm going to say bye for now.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I'm just very grateful to be able to deliver this workshop. So thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah, well, thank you, Gemma. It was amazing, really. Thank you very much.
I'll catch up with you in your Facebook group.
Thank you. Bye-bye.